Mystical Moon Saint visiting today. I have a couple of statements to make. One is if you don't like my content, hard left. If you don't like my verbiage, hard left. If you do not like the conversation that I have today, hard left. If you do not like my vulgarity and my language, go fuck yourself and hard left. Same thing for if you have a problem with my appearance. I am a godly person, and I see the cards just want to come out. First is Final Destination and Decision with rewards. Sorry about that. If you have a question about how this works, these cards are word cards. They are not tarot cards. I do tarot, but I prefer doing word cards, mainly because I suffered from selective mutism for 7 years after finding out that I have thyroid cancer. I stopped talking to people because I figured, what did it matter anyway? It's my life, and nobody else is going to give a fuck for me. So I stopped talking to people, even people I love very much. That was March of 2015. Now, what I do here, I tell a story about me. I tell a story, hopefully, that gives somebody the courage to either leave an abusive situation or speak up about their own situation. Now, I left an abusive marriage of 22 years, but that's neither here nor there. That's not the reason why, well, kind of the reason why I left, but I realized that I'm dealing with thyroid cancer, and I was diagnosed in 2012. In 2015, I was told that I needed to seek treatment. I decided to go another route. Practicality. Today they're going to fall on the floor. Practicality and leaving behind. I had to leave behind my husband because I felt like, why should he transitioning into creative venture, which is my blog. Now, I had to leave behind my husband because of my illness. It was taking over me. Now, I have no supportive friends. I don't even have supportive family. My family doesn't even know. My kids don't even know. And I'm telling the truth about my life because I learned a lot of lessons in this life. You can't live to excess. Now, if the word comes upside down, that means I need to pay attention to it being in reverse. This means I live in excess. The other way means that it is opposite. So, I'm not living in excess. And I'm not taking preventative matters anymore. Taking a chance. I might make mistakes along the way, but I don't feel like I'm making mistakes anymore. I trust. I'm building a desire and using my imagination. I lived in fear for a long time, but now I'm just going to flow. I go wherever I'm guided to go. If I hear somebody talking about a certain area for a long time, I'll go that route. Now again, if you do not like my language, or if you don't like my content, hard fucking left. If you have a problem with my appearance, hard fucking left. And go fuck yourself. If you have a problem with my verbiage or my vulgarity in my language, because I use the word fuck a lot, and I also say bullshit a lot, because that's what this life is about. Building foundations with the possibility of no solution. Distancing yourself from trouble. Craving and optimistic. Sometimes incompetent. But letting go of mistakes and fears. Now, why does that matter to me? Well, I refer to the Bible a lot. And I realize that we don't see it. But if you take a real hard look, I was discussing the Bible yesterday with someone where I'm at. And I'm not afraid to say it. I hold my shelter here in Nashville, Tennessee. I do problem with that, you come look at the rent prices in Nashville. And I'm only here for a little while. I have a vehicle and just visiting the place. So yes, you can do that. I'm not ashamed to say it, but it gives me a chance to connect with those people who need to hear this story. Now, that takes a lot of cautious behavior, because putting your emotions out there, somebody else will take advantage of, can give you anxiety. But I'm not living anxious anymore. I'm not a bully. There are bullies in there, but it's about new beginnings. Again, caution, confusion. A lot of people in there are confused. They feel like there are deadlines, but there are no deadlines anymore. I mean, if you take a look at it, it's a shelter. Sometimes we have to go and revisit the past, see where we've been. Now, I said something about Bible verses. If you look at the Bible verses and take a look at the stories and tell me that you do not relate to some of the stories in the Bible, tell me you have not walked past similar. I was discussing this with a woman who was absolutely adamant that Christ died for our sins. And I agree, Christ died for our sins. But who's to say that it's not constantly happening every single day? Every single day that can be happening. Now, I'm saying that because I put myself on that cross constantly. Constantly. Helps me transform, become a better person, making decisions, and staying away from karmic behavior and seeing the beauty in life. Because you have to truly trust God with a momentum. Restrict yourself. But sometimes take that restriction away. If you take away the physical means of life we take for granted. Like, some people have a house, and some people look at my situation, oh, that's pitiful. Well, maybe it's not pitiful to me. Maybe it's not pitiful for me. I don't have property taxes. I mean, I got a car, but, and it's fully paid for. I took some money that I had and paid outright for it. Now, that was clarity. In my physical world, it's one item that I needed for the rest of my life. Why do I say the rest of my life? Like I said earlier, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2012 in October. I didn't tell anybody. I went back to my endocrinologist in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and she told me that I needed to seek treatment. Instead of seeking treatment, I moved closer to the beach where the water has iodine in the salt air. Iodine from seaweed that is constantly broken up and transformed into something breathable. And it started working. But since I've moved away, I can feel the restriction in my throat again. So I decided that I would take pleasure in seeking travel. Doing something for me for once. If this is going to be the end of my life and COVID's going around, why not take advantage of that? I'm going to die either way. If I get COVID, then it was supposed to be. If it's thyroid cancer that takes me, then it was meant to be. You can't live in fear. And COVID was supposed to put people in fear, but more of a go back to God fear. And you can say, well, it closed the churches. Well, yeah, maybe those churches needed to be closed for a while. Maybe they needed a little cleansing. Maybe they needed to go back to find their calm. Maybe they were threatened. You got to use cautious behavior in this time right now. Because this is a transformation. This is a transformation that drives people. Self-discipline. A 6 foot distance. That's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. You could be right up in somebody's face and not get COVID. But you can also be 10 feet away. Have somebody cough or breathe around you. This stuff is airborne. So live with the imagination that it's just a cycle of renewal. Maybe it's just leaving behind the old shit that was too elaborate. Maybe take some time off of work. Gain some knowledge. Phase out. Maybe it was a change for the better. Maybe it was all about money and greed. Maybe it was just for us to seek counsel in God. Mental reflection for God. Looking at things in a new perspective. Sometimes with no support. Maybe it was a perfection of mental healing. All of these are possibilities. Now, when COVID first started in October of 2019, I started on another journey. And I'm not saying that the two are related. I'm just saying it's a very damn good coincidence. And while it may look like there's a moment of scarcity for me, I'm living my life the way I want it to now. And because I took advantage of the situation, it looked like it was negative. But it's all coming to the surface now. There was a lot of contemplation. 2 years I waited for that personal injury lawsuit. I waited for it. And it looked like a petty hassle. But I had a friend and my husband. I don't now, because I did take my settlement leave. Took time and I meditated on it for a long time, daydreaming about the day I'd be able to leave, looking for that stability. And that swift movement, boy did it kick me in the ass. I got the check on the 20th of October, and I purchased a car and left the same day. I felt stuck in denial for a long time that I just wasn't going to be able to get up and out on my own. It took a lot of self-care and sacrifice. I sacrificed the 22-year marriage. Now, they say, well, how was it useful? A lot of people don't know financial restrictions as a user. If you have one person who has the income, you can be bullied. You can be bullied. You can feel like you're finished because you have no access to finances. He's supposed to be paying $1,300 a month in spousal support. He hadn't paid one dime since December. And that was only $300 or somewhere around $900 total. It's for my contact lenses, which yes, I still wear them. And I left it behind. So whenever I finally get this divorce, it's going to be however many months in arrears. So $1,300 a month. And I did lower it to $900 a month. $935, I believe. But I'm gaining perspective. And whenever I do, you can damn sure bet I'm going back for arrears for back pay. Because he stopped being generous. It's mastery, not control. You gotta let things go sometimes to see the potential. But sometimes the best thing for someone is to alienate them, to figure out and develop a strategy. Clear out the clutter. Protect your resources. So I've been taking my space voluntarily. And it may seem like I was moved along. I'm like, yeah, I wear my mask. It's the copper one from Walmart. I don't know, I think it was $7, $10. But it's got a lining in here and it's copper based. So constantly got mine on. This is what you'll see in my videos. Since I'm out in anywhere actually. Like I said before, I just came back from Punta Gorda, Florida. There was an outdoor shelter I took advantage of. Don't go there. It was a nice place. You can come in, but you have to work for her. And to me, that seemed more like a slave trade, because a lot of these people are disabled and unable to function properly. I'm one of them. I look healthy, but I took a fall in September of 2021 in a creek that was a 6 to 10 foot fall, or excuse me, 8 to 10 foot fall, and the left side of my body doesn't function as well as I'd like for it to. However, yes, what I do see here is my prayer and my cross. Now, some might say, and I smoke too, this is a false problem, hard fucking left. This is my 4th time battling cancer of some sort, and I've never done any kind of chemo whatsoever. The first one was cervical cancer, and I did it with cryosurgery. 2 times of cryosurgery, and came back completely clean. So I do trust that there are other ways of healing. Normally I take the holistic approach. I'm also a type 2 diabetic, and I take no insulin. You have to take care of yourself. Now, I do what I can. I eat a lot of sandwiches, so that may be bad for me. I also have peanut butter and doing a lot. Well, I just started on that one. But some may say this is the final destination. I think it's just a timeline we're in. Most people are looking for a solution. Me, I'm looking to triumph. You gotta stay away from your self-fulfilling prophecies. You gotta go on with some experience. And I'm experienced, trust me. I've been homeless quite a few times. And it's no cakewalk, especially when you're doing it with kids. And I did it twice with kids. So it took conscious thought this time. So I am car camping. Car camping, conscious thoughts. When I do. When I'm not, it's usually cold. Some people may think this is sorrow. No, it's not sorrow. Some things cease to be useful. Some things cease to be useful. And I decided I would start exploring. Gaining a new perspective. Getting rid of my attachments. Getting rid of ego. Overcoming sexual desire. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that I have absolutely no desire to have sex. But it does mean that I have been celibate for 8 months. And it's not because I don't have men that want me. Because trust me, I do. But I'm waiting for that passionate conversation with someone who takes my breath away. And until then, I'm overcoming the desire to just sleep with anyone. Going for the enjoyment and wonder in life instead of sex. Sex sells, yes, but I'm not that way. I look for a deeper perspective in life and walking away from sexually driven motivation. Let's just say that. Now, that's not to say if the right person didn't come along and sweep me off like I could be, I'd be all over that. But that'd have to be a very, very I can't find a word for it. Let's just say he'd have to be on my level almost completely. I'm one who looks for an energetic connection, not a sexual connection. I don't just look at you and say, man, you're hot. Let's go do this. I'm not that kind of person. That's a negative advantage if you look at it. That's it. I am emerging from that bullshit. I had a nice looking husband. I'm not gonna lie. But if the person is on my level spiritually, we can talk. And I do mean spiritually. If you sit there and tell me that you don't believe in God or whatever, keep walking. If you don't believe in the magic of life, keep walking. I'm capable of things that you have no idea. Pursue your spiritual practices. I'm a channeling medium. I sometimes have the ability to read your thoughts before you ever come up to me. And that is a power a lot of women could use to protect themselves. And that's what I do. When I see somebody else is looking or thinking something, because I do have telepathy with people, I can sometimes read your thoughts and prepare for you and get ready to roll. It was a breakthrough I had after that fall. It's pretty inventive too. That fall, I was able to pick up more of my spiritual gifts. And if you have any idea, I am all the clairs. Clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient. Well, clairaudience has kind of stopped. I kind of begged for that one to stop for a while. With intention. I had to walk away from that. Too many people talking that were in my soul family. It felt like my darkest hour when I was listening to them. And it was the dawn of a new day after having that block off for a while. And eventually it'll come back. But I know the bitch who's constantly doing it. I constantly got the bitches in my ear. So, while I did ask for that particular one to kind of fade away for a while, I decided not to probe it. Ask for a little power in my life, and I got it. Sometimes you just gotta walk away from the bullshit. Now, I was seeking a relationship spiritually with a little empathy, and I withdraw. I withdraw from a lot of people because I can feel your energy when I shake your hand. It's personal power. You gotta keep an open mind and keep from being impulsive. Look for a little structure in life with that fertility of mindset. Keep your intentions optimistic. Use your intuition, because it's the changing of the seasons in your life. Now, sometimes it takes a little charity. You gotta understand where somebody's been before you can open your mouth and have an opinion. Sometimes it's best to use your instinct and walk away from those people, those karmic people in your life. Stay away from confusion, because a lot of it's hidden. You gotta find new feelings. Sometimes those are subtle. You'll always have a lack of support. Sometimes it's from your own mother. Now, I'm looking for a little stability, and I'm always looking for a new adventure. I'm looking for the country here so I can regain my energy. I'm tired of being stagnant and stupid motherfuckers. Yep, you heard me. Stupid motherfuckers. Solutions aren't always easy, but moving on is always easy for me. I don't try to stay stuck in any kind of situation anymore. If I need to, like I said, I paid cash for my Pathfinder. I'll sell that bitch for $18. Buy a lesser car and keep fucking moving. As long as I can fit my stuff in it, I'll keep moving on. That's my support. You see, most people would get stuck. Well, what do I do? Well, my title's in my hand. And it wouldn't be too selfish if I donated what I have, a little bit of it, to this place I'm staying in, because otherwise I'd have a little excess. And I'm good with that. Gotta seek God and go with them. Every time you hear somebody talking about a certain place, think about it. Maybe he's telling you and you're not listening. You gotta examine your goals. Use a caring instinct. Listen to what people say to you. Look for peace. Look for freedom from distraction. Distraction. What is distraction? Focus on what it really takes Be you and only you. Live in peace. If you have no peace, then you need to seek a bucket list. You need to seek a bucket list. That's what I'm on, my bucket list. I'm back in Nashville. The first time I was in Nashville was December. Now today, the other day I was wearing a heavy coat and a sweater, and yesterday I was wearing a sweater. I did a live. I did a live the other day on Facebook Live, Mystical Moon Rose, and I was optimistic that it was going to be warmer soon. But this is my creative venture. Until my dying day, this is going to be my creative venture. I had to release from the feeling that I betrayed my husband. I had to release it because otherwise I would have stayed stuck there. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, if you have a husband who cares and loves you, there's a difference between caring and love. At the end, he spent time away from me. He took a month away from me. So he sought external sources and not me. He didn't call to find out if I was okay. I'm diabetic. I know 3 days I was sleeping. 3 days I didn't take my insulin, my sugar. And I know this because I kept a logbook. When I woke up, it was 3 days later. So I realized that I was not a focus in his life anymore. So fuck him. I left. I avoided the arguments. I stopped playing his mind games. It was a very severe announcement that I had disconnected and took off. I used maturity in the situation. I delivered the key in a cameraed area for Domino's, where he worked, as a customer service rep in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And he tried to cry, and I couldn't. That's when you know you've reached a level of maturity that, those kinds of games don't work anymore. Those sexual desires weren't there anymore. We got to a point of mutual masturbation because I just didn't feel driven. I knew I had to move on. It was time for a new beginning. And I was using caution because I didn't want to have a sexual attachment to him anymore. I used maturity and to end the relationship. It was a revelation to him that he was an attachment I needed to get rid of. Sometimes we look at people as, oh, they're a godsend, but maybe they're only a godsend for a little while. Maybe they're there to deliver a message and you're supposed to let go of them. Sometimes that message can be a pretty brutal message. Maybe it's telling you you've got too many other outside attachments. Maybe there are addictions they have that you aren't fond of. And the song that was playing, and I'm going to start it back up because I think it's pretty much relevant here. Let me go back over here. Hopefully it doesn't